everyone. You're welcome to the CC podcast. Like you already know, CC is the Center for the Study of the Economies of Africa, and we conduct evidence-based research to inform policymaking in Africa. Today, we'll be speaking with Margarita Gómez, the new Executive Director of the Southern Voice Network, and we will be speaking to her about her vision for the Southern Voice Network in the coming years, as well as some of the initiatives and strategies that can help strengthen the development agenda in Africa. Good afternoon and welcome, Margarita. Thank you for joining us on the CC podcast. As a member of the Southern Voice Network, we here at CC are excited to have you on board, and I'm sure that other members of the network are equally eager to learn more about your vision for the future. So to start off this conversation, can you share with us a bit about your professional background and your experience that has prepared you for this role?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here and also to share a little more about what is Southern Voice and a little more about myself. So I have a mixed background. I started my career as in the government. I was advisor of the Minister of Public Security in Mexico, advisor of the Minister of Defense. And then I did a little switch and moved to work in the intersection between academia and practice. So I have been working the last 10 years of my career on really using the knowledge, the evidence that is created in the academia to be applied and implemented to design better policies, to also tackle specific challenges and specific problems that the society is working. I'm from Mexico, so I started my career in Mexico, but then I had the opportunity to lead different innovation centers in Mexico, but also at the University of Oxford, where before joining Southern Voice, I was leading a center focused on improving the performance of public employees across the world. I did several experiments and studies in different countries, in Brazil, in Singapore, in Ghana, to improve governments and the way that public employees performs. So I think that what I bring to the network and to Southern Voice is these different lenses, because I've been in government, so I understand how decisions are made inside in these organizations and in these institutions. I've worked in the creation of knowledge, and I work on how can we apply this evidence to design policies and to tackle some of the most important challenges in the world.
Okay, thank you for setting the tone for this conversation and, just sharing your journey with us. And I'm happy to hear all the rich experiences that you have. So now let's talk about the Southern Voice Network. I'm sure that our listeners will be curious to know what the network is about. So maybe you could tell us more about the network and its goals, So let's take it up from there.
Thank you, Drusilla. First of all, I would like to start saying that it's a real honor to be part of the network and to be leading now this network that has almost 11 years already, and a network that was created with the vision to influence global debates and to really bring and enhance the voices of the researchers from the Global South, decision makers, and members of different think tanks. And what is the network and what we are aiming? And first, I'm going to start with the purpose. So our purpose is to really influence the global agenda in the Sustainable Development Goals and to bring the vision of the Global South, what we have seen is that many of these global policies are usually defined by actors that are in the global north, that sometimes the vision of the global south is not there. And that is what we as Southern Boys are trying to do, really to bring this vision and to influence these global debates. Actually, today we are 70 think tanks, 17 think tanks based in 35 different countries in the global south. Our think tanks work on different topics related with poverty, education, gender equality, financing for development. So there is a huge difference on the topics that our members work. And many of them really focus on influencing the debates in their countries. And the role of Southern Boys is to make this connection. How can we also bring that issues or that interest to the regional debates and to the global debates, in order that the policies that are decided at this level, they can be relevant, and also they can have the context of the national realities of the different countries that form part of the network.
Thank you very much. This introduction provides quite a comprehensive review, of the network, and it's interesting to learn about the objectives and the vision of the hub. So, as the new executive director of the Southern Voice, can you share or shed more light on your priorities, for the Southern Voice, as well as the think tanks that are within the network?
I've been in the position almost I think that 4 months already. And we have been working, I am building already, I have a fantastic base, because I think that the work that has been done is amazing. And what I'm doing is defining 3 key priorities or pillars that guide our initiatives and the work that we do. The first one is we want to really enhance the South-South collaboration. So something that we have seen is that there is a lot of knowledge, there is a lot of experience, there is a lot of good practices, and I will say also failures that we need to learn between the countries that are part of the global South. So my priority is really to create this community where we can exchange knowledge and learn from each other. In this pillar, also, we are trying to change the way that we collaborate with our global North partners. So we want to continue this collaboration between global South and global North, but we want to have a more equal partnership where the actors from the global South set the agenda, collaborate in the whole process of defining a policy or doing research, and also recognize the context where they work and recognize all what they bring to the table. So that is our first priority. The second priority is to become an evidence and knowledge hub. And the reason why I've put this as a priority is because our members, and I'm going to repeat this many times, 70 think tanks, they create a lot of evidence. They are always publishing new things, new ideas, and we see our role as a Southern Voice as the door that need to bring all that evidence together and make available for a broader audience. So that's our second priority. And the third priority is very connected with what we have been doing already, that is influencing global debates. So if we create good knowledge and good evidence, if we have this community that is always discussing the key priorities in the global South, then we use these 2 elements to influence the global debates and to continue doing the work that we have been doing in the last 10 years. And finally, and this is more an internal priority, we want to mobilize funds for our members. So this is the funding mobilization new strategy that we are also implementing, as we believe that there is a huge opportunity to transform the way that funds are given to Global South researchers and think tanks, and we also want to make these resources available for our members to do very high quality and impactful research.
Okay, thank you. So building on these priorities and ideas that you've outlined, and as you work to help address development issues in the Global South, are there like any challenges that maybe you encounter? And if there are any, maybe you could share some of them with us.
Some of the challenge, as every network, is how can we keep our members engaged? No? How can we really create a very vibrant community where we can learn and co-create and create ideas together? We are always thinking inside of the Secretariat of Southern Voice, how can we really have these very active members, because our core is our members, no? So if the members don't engage, it's very difficult that we can achieve our main goals. So I think that that's one of the challenges. I think that also some of the other challenges are country-based. No, what we have seen is that many of our members, they sometimes face some political challenges in their countries due to politics. No, so that's something that we need to consider. I think that also in the last years, funding has become a challenge for many of our members. For that reason, one of our priorities is how can we, as a collective, mobilize more resources for our own research. So I would say that these are the main challenges that we are facing and that we are trying really to work on to collaborate and face them.
Yeah, so thank you for mentioning that. I mean, my next question was going to revolve around, the context of the development issues that African countries face. And it's interesting to see that you pointed out how the political environment actually affects, some of these issues in African countries. And in recent times, we've witnessed a lot of dynamics when it comes to our politics in Africa. So moving on to the role of Southern Voice in particular, in Africa in particular, in terms of your collaboration and partnerships in Africa, can you describe the type of work that Southern Voice Network has done in the region, more specifically in Africa?
So I'm going to start by highlighting that almost 50% of our members are based in Africa. So I mentioned that we are 70 think tanks. 32 of these 70 think tanks are based in Africa in 16 different countries. Mm-hmm. So that could give you an idea about how important is the region for our network and how important historically the role that they have played in the network. And regarding what we have done and we have what type of work we have done. So we have done research in different topics, for example, in education and technology, in also discussing how the development agenda should look like. We have also discussed about the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. During the pandemic, in the last years, we also did some research on how COVID-19 affected what were the consequences of COVID-19 in the education, in the economy recovery. And then we have also worked on youth, the role of the young think tankers in defining agenda, development the agenda. So as you see, that we have had like a very broad areas of collaboration, but not just that. We also, as one of our main focus is this policy influence, we have done a lot of work also with our members to try to influence different policy debates. For example, a couple of years we were working on food security, and also how can we influence the decision making in the international organizations focus on food security. And we have also tried to position our members in different key debates in international fora. So this is just like to give you a very general overview of the type of work that we have done in the region.
We are certain you're enjoying this podcast episode so far. We would love to stay connected with you. Kindly follow us and subscribe. And hey, you could also share on your social media platform. It's inspiring to hear all of these great initiatives and support that Africa is receiving through the Southern Voice Network, just to help drive inclusive and sustainable development in the region. So let's talk about some of the challenges that Africa confronts. We've already pointed out a few of them, but then what's more specifically would the Southern Voice do? Like, what are the major development challenges? Some, not all. You could just share with us some of the challenges that Southern Voice will focus on.
So some of and this is based on the discussion that we have had with our members. So we have discussed one that is very important topic regarding financing for development. So what are the resources and how is the finance system in terms of the international cooperation and the resources that different countries are receiving in the region. So that's one of the topics that we have been trying to define an agenda and also to influence the agenda. So that's one. The other one is poverty and inequalities. So that's another topic that we are working in the region with our members. We are also working on food security. This is a topic where in Africa is very key. And in other of our regions, years ago, it was one of the main topics, for example, in Latin America, and now it's becoming again another important topic. So there is a very interesting knowledge exchange there. I think that also we are very interested on working on, like, together with the financing for development on public finance, that is another topic, the economy recovery, and the economy growth. So these are like some of the topics that we have defined that are key that we work on in the region. Education is another topic that we have been working for many years on this area in Africa.
These are very critical issues, and we're looking forward to, just learning from the network and seeing how we can collaborate. So in terms of leading the conversations to help influence policy decisions or generally shape the development agenda for Africa, how has Southern Voice been involved? If you could provide maybe specific examples of how a research that was conducted by or led by Southern Voice, how it led to a policy change or a reform in Africa.
Thank you so much. I think that this is a very good questions and also a challenging one, because we know that there is always this gap between evidence and policy. How can we really use the research that we are creating and that we are doing to really impact policies? And I think that some of the things that we have done, and this is maybe the clearer example, is the work that we have done in the food system work, where there is a lot of knowledge and evidence coming from the African think tanks that we collaborate with. And some of the things that we have done is like bringing our members and our experts to the discussions in Rome, to really be part of all these, like setting the agenda, and to even influence on how the leadership of these international organizations are selected, so they can really respond to the needs of the African countries. So I would say, like, the way that we have influenced policy is to create and to support a very sound and high quality research, and then taking this research to the international forum. And this is, I think that this work that we did around the discussions and conversations that are happening in Rome is a very good example of how we are connecting knowledge, research and policy and action. And the other one that I also would like to highlight, that maybe is not as impactful as it was the food system discussions that we were part, is the education and technology research that we did. So in this topic, we, in collaboration with also CSEA,
yes,
we identified what were the challenges that the region were having in terms of using technology for education. And I think that's something that was very interesting, and is very, that this is the type of knowledge that we want to give life, and also like to bring these lenses to the international discussion, is that when we talk about digitalization in education in Africa and in many countries in the global south, it's not just about technology, no? It's not just about if we have or not the technological infrastructure. We are still talking about a lot of the key issues, quality of teachers, no? If we have the infrastructure to teach, no? If the students go to the school, and then the whole context that also is important to consider there.
Thank you, Margarita. Just for my next question, I'm interested, I think you might have touched on it a bit, but what are like the future plans or priorities for Southern Voice in Africa, and how do you envision Southern Voice evolving to address emerging development challenges and opportunities in the region?
Yeah. Thank you, Drusilla. I think that, yeah, I have already, but I'm gonna highlight, because this is very connected with also our vision for the future and the topics that we are focusing in the next years in Africa, but also in the other regions are, as I mentioned, financing for development. We are working on strengthening institutions. So this is a topic that we usually don't work that much, but considering my background, I think that it is super important that we also strengthen governments and the way that they work, because if we can have an impact on that, we can also like make our impact bigger. So that is the other topic that we are working. We are working on poverty, inequalities, and education. We are one of the emerging topics that we are also including in our agenda is technology and artificial intelligence. So what we have seen is that the discussion in this topic is moving very fast, and we need to be part of that. And we are, we as a collective, we need to bring our priorities in that discussion. We also are bringing together our members to talk about what is coming after the Agenda 2030. And this is a priority because we want to be part of the agenda setting, and we don't want to wait until the agenda is already set, and then we just need to follow what has been said. So that is the other topic that we have been working. Employment, economy is also another priority in the region. And yeah, food security, as I mentioned, is also another of our priorities.
Yeah, thank you, Margarita. I think you've listed and highlighted key issues that we certainly look forward to, creating knowledge and understanding the dynamics around them. But there's one area that I wanted us to talk about is the South-South cooperation. So the South-South cooperation, continues to play a significant role in Africa's development. And then in recent times, it has gained like increasing prominence. There's more discussion about South-South cooperation. So can you provide a brief overview of what the South-South cooperation is and its significance for Africa? And then if you could also share how the South-South cooperation has evolved over the years, just so our listeners can, get a better understanding of it.
Yeah, thank you, Drusilla. I think that so South-South cooperation is this really collaboration and exchange of knowledge, of good practices, of learnings between countries that share some historical background, that share also some specific characteristic about the economy, the social development where they are. And here I would say that many of, like all of the members, all of the countries that are where our members are based are share these characteristics. And what we mean when we say South-South cooperation or collaboration is that we really want to learn between like each other. We want to know what has worked. What we have seen, and this is what I was saying at the beginning, is that there are many good practices that we can also learn from each other. There are also some collaboration that can happen. We have seen that even financing areas in the finance where some countries are giving resources to other countries to promote the development. So this is what we mean when we are talking about South-South collaboration, and to enhance this knowledge exchange, learning exchange, and really to work together. So that's what we mean between South-South, about South-South collaboration. Regarding how this has evolved, I think that let me highlight 2 points. The first one is that we are like, when we have this community and when we create this community and this practice of knowledge exchange and collaboration in different areas, we also are getting more agency, and we are having more, like I would say, power to even negotiate and position our key priorities in different forums. So that's very important. And the second thing is, like, we have identified that there are practices and evidence experience that now we are giving inputs and information to the global north. So when we talk about climate change, that it is another of our key priorities in the region that I didn't mention, and in the global south. One of the things that we have seen is, like, we have already some practices and some examples of how many of the developing countries and countries in the global south, how they are dealing with the climate change issues, that are giving information and evidence to the global north to how to design policies and how to face these challenges. So I would say that having this collaboration it is allowing us to have a stronger voice. And second, the way that it has evolved is like today I see more agency in our members and I see more agency in the Global South.
Yeah, these are key examples that highlight the benefits of the South-South cooperation, and thank you for highlighting possible ways that even Africa can, key into it. So my next question was going to be, but I think you've already touched on it, how the Southern Voice has been involved in terms of promoting South-South cooperation. So I think you've answered that question. So just to wrap up this conversation, I would like to ask how African countries can further strengthen their partnerships and collaborations through the South-South cooperation.
Yeah, thank you. So I think, and then let me just develop a little more the idea about South-South collaboration and how how Southern Voice is promoting this. And the first one is we are always inviting our members to collaborate within the region, so that we have different, because we know also that there are many different global South, if I can say that there is not just one priority or one vision. So one thing that we have invited our members is like collaborate within the region, so we can have the different perspective and the different challenges that the region is having. So that's one way that we have promoting this collaboration. And then the other step is that let's also learn and compare from other regions. What is happening in Asia? What is happening in Latin America and the Caribbean? Is that something that we can learn? For example, in the topic of care economy, the Latin America and the Caribbean countries, they have been working a lot. So there are a lot of knowledge that can be used and where we can learn in Africa and in Asia. So regarding how the African countries can be part of this South-South collaboration, so I think that is like what we have invited is like, let's learn about what are the challenges in the region, then because we really want to create this Global South community, is let's also see what can you bring to the other regions, and let's also see what can you learn from the other regions, and also identify what are the commonalities. Are there any priorities that we share and that we can work together as a collective? And let's identify also our differences.
Thank you so much, Margarita, for joining us on the CC podcast. We've had some very insightful conversations. We're excited to work with you. We're excited to see how your vision will come into play for the Southern Voice members. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas, and we got a lot of insights from just speaking with you. And we hope that we'll continue to have more conversations. We'll continue to have more platform like this for knowledge, learning and sharing with you. Thank you so much for coming onto this podcast today.
Thank you so much. We are looking forward to continue working with CSEA and also with our other members in the region. As I said, we have almost 50% of our network is based in Africa, and the region is very important for us. And we know that there is a lot that we can learn together and a lot that can be shared with the other regions in the Global South. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.